And you're good.
Oh man, Chris Wallace looks sad. Chris Wallace looks like his little pet. I'm gonna guess he's got a Shih Tzu or some little foofy dog, or maybe a kitty cat. Maybe a kitty cat. Looks like his kitty cat just died. That's how you know it was a good night for Donald J. Trump. Good night for the president. Chris Wallace looks depressed. So does Juan Williams and Donna Brazil. I think Chris called it a tie. So that's how you know Trump won in a rout. And he said, I wish I could have moderated a debate like this. Well, you could have, you fool. You just pick sides. I'll say this right off the bat. We all know Trump won. It was clear, decisive win. This is the decision. This was the outcome that Tom Shattuck said the first debate, how the first debate ended. He said Trump in a knockout. That was not Trump in a knockout. That was a messy, close decision. This was a knockout. Trump won, had his best debate I've seen him have in, I don't know, dozens of debates. It's the most composed he's been, the most in control. I think the moderator and the whole debate commission, I think it backfired. They wanted to help Biden with the rules and the mute button and all the order that they were insisting on. It helped Trump. It got that thought in his head, and he said, I got to behave. I can't talk over Joe. We got to take turns. I can't get excited and emotional, and he didn't, and it worked beautifully, and I think it helps him immensely, and it hurts. Obviously, it hurts Biden. Anytime Biden's out in public, anytime he's on camera, on a microphone, in the public eye, it hurts him. That's why he hides in his basement, takes 4 days off on this huge week. That's why he took half of September off, because he knows if he's out there in public, it's devastating. And it wasn't so much, in my mind, a Trump win. Again, he was good. He was composed. It was a Biden loss. You got to look at Biden, and you saw him lose his train of thought, and you saw him bumble and stumble and fall over himself. And worse, you saw him flat out lie. Now, as a pessimist, a natural pessimist, right now I'm kind of bummed out, because that's it. It's over. You got two debates. The debate commission rigged it so the second one was canceled. You got two debates. The one you just saw was the best one for Trump, the best one for the country. We got to hear answers. We got to see both guys try to organize their thoughts. It was not a good night for Biden, but he has this going for him. 50 million people have already voted, and the media, as we know, is dead and gone. There is no media. There's just a massive PR wing of the Biden camp. There are no real fact checkers. If you know, PolitiFact and Snopes, they're all left-wingers. Biden told some whoppers tonight, real whoppers, that if there were a media, if there were a press, if there were real reporters, he would be getting nailed to the wall for the next 24 hours. I mean, he said that he never said he would phase out fracking. He's never said he would ban fracking. And he challenged Trump to get the video and put it on the website. And if you're on Twitter, like I am, the next 5 minutes, you saw 700 tweets with video of Biden saying, I'm looking at one right now. No, we'll work it out. No more fracking. He said it dozens of times, and he's so used to. Here's where being a Democrat doesn't help. For the most part, usually it helps. You're protected by the media. You can take millions from communist China, and they will cover for you. They will be there. They will have your back, particularly in this era of Trump. But you get comfortable in that little cocoon. You get comfortable with them as your rapid response team, with them protecting you. And you think you can get away with anything and everything. That's the point that Joe Biden has reached. He thinks he can flat out lie. He said, his family made no money in China or Russia, which is documented lie. I mean, that's a fact. We've seen the emails. We know he's lying. And then he could say, I was never against fracking. And immediately hundreds of people just tweet out and I'm surprised Twitter hasn't deleted all their accounts or suspended them, but dozens and dozens of people immediately tweet out the video of Biden saying he's against fracking. So I think there were points in that debate that if there were a free press still in this country, Biden would be done. I mean, he'd be done. He said he wants to end the oil industry. He wants to get rid of oil. That is, not only is it insane, he said he wants to get to zero emissions by 2025. Now, if you're like kid and you're freshman in college, that means like when you're in your fifth year, like that means there'll be no emissions in 4 years and 3 months. There'll be no. I guess maybe I mean that's just so silly, just so outrageous. It's so stupid that you have to be a Democrat to say it, because if you're a Republican, immediately the entire Washington press corps would come swooping down and just tear the flesh off your bones. But you can say we're going to end oil, and you walk off the stage proudly, and fools like Chris Wallace say it was a draw, or I'm sure on CNN, Jake Tapper's saying Biden did a wonderful job because he didn't piss his pants or his teeth didn't fall out. He said we're going to end oil. But I guess if you look in the right places, you could see people calling him out on it. But
you're strangely giddy. Like, I know it was fun to watch.
I like this stuff. What can I say? And you know what?
But what's your reaction in the sense of like how does this impact either or tonight?
Because unfortunately, it doesn't. Like I said, 50 million people have already voted. There's very few undecideds. I just think it's a close race. The polls are wrong. But Trumpkins, MAGA people don't talk to pollsters. And if they do, they lie. That's what happened 4 years ago. It's happening again. I think Trump needed a good debate. He needed this more than Biden, and he got it. And he was coached up nicely. I think we've lowered the bar for Trump where he doesn't really have to, be articulate. He just has to be composed. He has to be in control. And he was. And he nailed Biden on a few things like that. He made him say he was going to get rid of oil. And then he went, oh, it's a big statement. That's a big statement. So
that Trump moment where Biden was, going away from the China talk and the Ukraine talk, pure politician consultant move. That was such a good moment.
And I'll get to the moderator. I get some thoughts on the moderator, but when
the moderator seemed pretty interested in the Biden Ukraine story.
She didn't put it this way, Dave. The upset of the night. Let me just say the upset, the surprise, the shock of the night was that she said it. She mentioned it. It was like in the first 30 minutes in, she mentioned, his family getting rich in Ukraine, Russia, China, which is a big story, but it's obviously the mainstream media is covering it with a pillow until it dies. That's their job. Their job isn't to cover the news. It's to kill the news. It's the worst example of media bias in my lifetime. It's amazing. That guy did a press conference. Tony Bobulinski. The poor guy has to go through life.
He's coming on, right? I just saw your tweet. He's on. Is he on this tonight? we got him.
I knew Trump wouldn't mention him by name because he could never get that name right. Bobulinski. This poor guy goes through life. He looks like Chris Farley. His name is Bobulinski, and he's getting ripped off by Hunter and Joe Biden. I felt bad for the guy, but he does a press conference, which was amazing, before the debate, an hour before the debate, or 2 hours. He's in this empty room in Nashville. Trump's camp invited him in. He's got notes. He's got phones. And the only one who covered it was Fox News. It's this unbelievable story.
Well, I was going to ask you, though, because I kind of felt like his press conference forced the media to address it in some capacity.
Yeah,
so
I think you're right. When it comes to Welker, it comes to the debate.
I was going to ask you, what were you watching before the debate? What was your preview show? Because they started talking about it. Stephanopoulos started talking about it.
Did he?
Before. Yes. So I didn't know what you were what were you watching?
I was
before?
watching Tucker, of course.
Okay.
So Tucker was
you
great on this.
Playing the hits.
And this guy's going to talk to the FBI, and he's going to talk to Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin. He's not done. Here's the other thing. Hunter Biden and Joe, did, with Hunter, he's done a lot of things. He's done drugs. He's been with underage girls. He's done a lot of bad things. He's not treated his business partners so well because they are lining up to destroy him. That's not good. He's one of these guys who's burned some bridges, and now they're getting their revenge. But the press conference was amazing. The guy read his whole story, held nothing back, completely destroyed Joe Biden's fairy tale that he knew nothing about his son's business. He not only knew, he was involved with it. He was at meetings. He was part of it. It's black and white. It's not, complicated. It's not multi-layered. It's black and white. Joe Biden has been lying for years about his involvement with his son and their overseas business dealings, and they've been making a fortune. And it was good to hear Trump go right at it. Say, Joe, you've been making a lot of money. Just go right at it. And Welker saved Biden a couple times, but she also addressed it. And she also let it go a little bit. If that were Chris Wallace, he would have jumped on stage. He'd have thrown his body over Trump's head just to stop from talking. Kristen Welker let it go. And she wasn't great. She didn't mention Antifa. She didn't mention Afghanistan. She was there asking those stupid questions about climate change and race minorities who live near power lines or whatever the hell that was. But she was much, much better than I expected. Oh, look who's joining us now.
Yes.
He's as happy as I do.
was just listening to my favorite rap group, the Poor Boys.
I got that on my list, the Poor Boys. I'm telling you, we don't have it, because there was a lot going on. There's a moderator, there's Trump, there's Twitter. If you broke down just Biden's answers and just his explanations, there would be a lot of laughs there. He lost his way a few times. Did you hear him mention
the river?
Yeah, I was going to say, those illegal aliens come over the Rio Grande.
Look at his watch. You see him look at his watch?
Yes, he
looked at
his
great.
watch.
It was great.
I called it a Trump win by knockout, and I give Trump.
Hey, let's poll the audience too. Let's get that Facebook algorithm working on our behalf again. So, who do you think won the debate? You could put Trump. I think we know where it's going to go.
I think Trump we know where this. I don't know how
to comment. Put in the comments. Trump or Biden.
About as legitimate as Quinnipiac.
Since we're both, since Turtle Boy and I are both on the dangerous list for Facebook, let's not mention that I'm a member of the Poor Boys. Okay, I don't want to mention that. Keep that under your hats. Okay.
The Poor Boys. They're so poor.
Do you know there's Creedence Clearwater has a song.
How about the history?
Willie and the Poor Boys. Willie and the Poor Boys.
The history lesson just for tonight, what you took out of this is two things. Abraham Lincoln's a racist and America's friends with Hitler. That's what I learned tonight.
And as soon as he said it, I mean, you're a bigger history buff than anybody. You're a history teacher. And I know enough to know that remember the Olympics in 1936? I don't think we were kissing cousins. I don't think we were best buds.
A little bit awkward then.
With Adolf Hitler.
We were giving weapons from 1937. The cash and carry program started. We were literally giving weapons to anybody who would fight Hitler. We did not like Hitler from day one.
Okay, I got to give him a chance to respond to that before we move on.
And that's okay. You know what? North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. People don't understand. Having a good relationship with leaders of other countries is a good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get to.
That's like saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. The reason he would not meet
the rest of Europe.
We invaded Europe. Yeah,
he was invading.
I hate that when Germany invades Europe.
What's the rest of Europe? He invaded little bits of Europe the entire time. This guy, he was alive back then too. He should know better than anyone.
That's true. We should know that. I mean, it's not that complicated. But I will say this: Cullinane thinks I'm too giddy, and I am. I had a good time. It went well. I'm happy with Trump's performance. I'm happy that Sleepy Joe was a bumbling, stumbling fool for half the night, and I know I'm going to get frustrated with the coverage. I know the media has never been more corrupt. I know they're in full cover-up mode. They're not covering this Bobulinski story, which is huge. But I'm not going to let them ruin my night. I'm going to wait till tomorrow to let all the media stooges at the Washington Post, the New York Times, and Chris Wallace and Chris Cuomo and the rest of them. I'm going to let them ruin my day tomorrow. Today, I'm going to enjoy this because this is exactly what Trump needed. Wouldn't you agree? He looked good. He looked composed. He didn't really lose his mind. He didn't throw a water bottle. I thought he might. He didn't. And Biden just seemed old and weak and frail.
Yeah, the mute button was the best thing that's happened to Trump, because
Right.
just let Biden just rant and then talk about Rivers and Hitler and whatever the hell he's talking about, and the poor boys. Just let him go. Trump seemed like like he took his pills. Like he seemed mature, composed, and like with it. And meanwhile, Joe just seemed angry. He seemed angry tonight.
He did. And there was a point in the last half hour with Joe, and I think Trump recognized that Joe was really getting pissed. It was, the stupid friggin' climate change. And I mean, but he was really mad, and he was getting to the point where he was becoming a cartoon character. That's what he gets when and you say, that's not like a real person. He's like acting now or something. He's like, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look for a leader, for a president, for a guy who's appears to be a little long in the tooth for the job, tired, old, frail, gray, weak. He didn't dispel any of those raps at all tonight.
No, he kind of doubled down on it. He just seemed. How many times did he tell us to go to his website? This is a debate, Joe. Just tell us tell us how you feel. It's like, go to my website and you'll see how I feel. Go to my website. The fracking lie. He just lied about fracking.
The that was unbelievable. And I explained this before you came on, that's the downside to being a Democrat. The upside is the media covers for you all the time.
They didn't cover. Even Daniel Dale fact checked him tonight. I've never seen him fact check Biden.
But think of this. You say, I never said I was against fracking. Go ahead. You can put that on your website. Go ahead. Show. And everyone's going, of course you said it. We've seen the video 1,000 times, but he thinks there's no limit to the protection he gets from the media. He thinks there's no limit to things he can say and they will have his back. Like, I got my whole list of things he said, talking about, the catch and release program, the cages. He can say that's all the Trump administration, and Trump had the best answer I think he's ever had in a debate when he just kept saying, who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages?
Parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to that?
They did it. We changed.
Did not.
They built the cages. Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
who built the cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped. Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you about it.
Who built the cages, Joe? And then he went back and said it over and over, which was good. And here's what Biden doesn't get, is that's not a winning issue for him. Open borders is not a winning. That's why Trump is president.
Yeah.
Because he, said he was going to build a wall and stop this unfettered immigration. I mean, he's the one that meets with the families who's have, their loved ones murdered by illegal immigrants. That's his best issue. And Biden thinks if you sit there and go, he ripped the kids. Trump even said this. They didn't come with their parents. They came with coyotes.
Yeah.
They came with smugglers. They didn't come with their parents.
Across the river. Yeah.
Oh, you're making fun of a stutter again.
Was that a stutter?
Cool.
Oh, I didn't know that was a stutter. I think that was just a brain fart. I don't think I don't think it counts as a stutter if you forget what you're saying halfway in between saying it. He also called in classic form the laptop that was found in Delaware, mind you, Russian.
Oh, that was good. I got that on my list as the highlight of the night. Happened at 10:16, and Trump had the best answer. He said, "Oh boy," all sarcastically, and said, "Oh, so the laptop was Russia again?" Because it's so absurd. Again, I bring up the downside to being a Democrat. He thinks he can just tell any crazy tale and he can get away with it because he usually has. I mean, he's been making millions in Russia, China, Ukraine for years and getting away with it. And, the Democrats say he's, honest as the day is long. They don't question him.
I By the way, I didn't know Bobulinski. I thought he was a Russian. It sounds Russian. I didn't know he was a big fat American guy. That was not what I was expecting.
Bobulinski, and I said this before. I said I knew Trump wouldn't mention him because he could never get that name right, but he did. Bring up the laptop, and he bring out the grift, and he mentioned the 3.5 million from Moscow.
Why are they coming out now? Where's Bobulinski been before?
Well, it's a good question. I said this earlier that among Hunter's many faults is he does not treat his former business partners well. They all want a piece of his ass.
Well, did you see one email? He's like, they offered him an $850,000 salary. And he's like, that's not enough. That's how he values himself.
I mean, I watched the press conference. It was incredible. This guy was waiting. He's the CEO of the company, Bobulinski. He's waiting for the money to get wired to him. It doesn't come. He's trying to figure out what's happened. Hunter had it sent to him somehow. He had the money sent to him so he could share it with the big guy. And how about that? That Trump called him the big. Do you call him the big man or the big guy?
He goes, "Are you the big guy? Maybe
the
you
big
are.
guy.
I don't know. Maybe you are. I think
told
you
me
are."
that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell
told you that.
released
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written. Whenever they write this, they keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I mean, that was the best you could hope for. He doesn't remember a lot of dates and times and names. He remembers, general themes, and that was it. He got Ukraine, China, Russia, and the number 3.5 million, and the big man. I think it's the big guy, but the big man close enough. That I didn't think we would hear.
But will it matter in the polls? Like,
don't spoil my.
But I got to be realistic here. It's like, we all know that was a win. We owned him. Awesome. Is there a single voter out there that's like, you know what? I was team Biden before this, but then I saw Bobulinski and everything changed.
I don't know, but it does a couple things. First of all, it clearly exposes Biden as a liar. He's on tape a number of times saying, I know nothing about his business dealings.
Because not only does Joe, he's like known to be honest. That's his thing.
Right. Yes. Oh, and by the way, are you asking about the story or about the debate? That will it affect the numbers? Will it affect?
I was saying the story, but
story.
Too, yeah.
I mean, it's about it's about veracity and integrity and honesty, and it's kind of simple to understand, don't you think? That he was taking millions from our nuclear-powered enemy. He was taking millions from communist China.
But is the hatred of Trump so strong that nobody cares? That's what I'm wondering. Like, people freaking hate this guy, and will they all, like? I can't imagine anybody changing their mind. You know what I mean?
I think two things. Trump accomplished an important goal. He didn't appear hateable tonight.
That's true.
Well, not nearly as hateable as he usually does. He made some faces, but it wasn't as many as usual.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And he was well behaved, and he called her Kristen, and he commended her on the job she did, which was amazing.
She was better than Chris Wallace.
Oh, much better. I admit I have uncontrollable hatred for Chris Wallace. I will always hate him. I'm going to celebrate the day he gets a flesh-eating bacteria or something. And
by the way, I didn't know Biden had another daughter. Did you know that with Jill?
I knew. He has. I don't know why. He's got two daughters.
Well, he said tonight that he gave the talk to his daughter about. He goes, I don't have to give the talk to my daughter about hands on the steering wheel. You know what I mean?
I think isn't she his only kid with Jill?
I didn't know. Where is she? I've never seen her before. Who is she?
She's working with black kids in Wilmington, Delaware. That's what he said. But you know what the best? I shouldn't say the best. You know what a very strong move that Trump made was repeating, and that's what he does. He repeating over and over again that Biden had 8 years in the White House, 47 years in DC to change things, to do things. And when Trump would get, stuck, he would say, Joe, you had 8 years. Joe, you and Obama, you were in Washington 47 years. Like you had plenty of chances. You didn't do it. Again, that's a fact, A. And B, it's kind of easy to understand. You're complaining about everything that that's happened in Washington, including DACA. And I wish Trump would just say the hell with all illegal immigrants. I care about citizens. I think he would like to say that, but he holds back. But like DACA, he says, you had a chance. You had 8 years. You did nothing. It's a good answer. It's a good way to portray the Biden, the shortcomings of the Biden Obama administration.
Yeah, I mean, he, like I said, he seemed mature. It was like a different guy, and I would like to think that maybe some people watched this tonight and were like, you know what, Trump actually seems composed. I can actually imagine the country being run by him. It's just hard to imagine the country being run by Joe Biden.
Oh, God,
the worst part about this is he took 4 days off from campaigning to prepare, and this was what he came out with.
I explained this yesterday with Shattuck, and it's a great question. Here's the question: why didn't he go to Philadelphia yesterday and meet with Obama and appear with Obama? It's a 30-mile drive. He's got a limo. He's doing nothing all day. He gets in the limo. He goes to Philly. He goes on stage, holds hands. He couldn't even do that. That means he's got more issues than debate prep. He's got issues
like health issues,
like stamina issues, energy issues, old age issues.
Yep.
And he's running for the hardest, most stressful job in the world.
I still can't believe they picked him over.
Me either. I look at it and I go, if you're a Democrat, and God knows I have no sympathy for them, but you're looking at Pete Buttigieg and Amy
Klobuchar, like somebody in their 50s,
even Liz Warren, or even Julian Castro, and you're saying at least they have the energy. And they all believe the same thing. They all believe in, whatever, climate change.
I mean, those guys are so radical. Like, you just want like somebody who doesn't come across, even though they all are radical at the end of the day, somebody that doesn't come, like Amy hides it well. People like Chris Coons, they hide it well. Elizabeth Warren doesn't hide it well. So she wouldn't work.
But she would be better in these debates, or it should certainly wouldn't take 4 days off like
she would have more energy.
Like Biden, it should have much more energy, and you wouldn't be these huge gaffes, these stupid things of like the poor guys or the poor boys or the Rio Grande. I don't know. Again, 50 million people have already voted, so this debate obviously doesn't matter to them. While I'm watching the replay of Biden and his wife Jill kiss while they're both wearing masks. I mean, is that not just silly? It's just,
do you like how he came out with the mask on today, just so we could see him take it off?
Just see, and another good answer Trump had when they talk about COVID, and God, it feels like we've talked about this 1,000 freaking times. There's only been 2 debates, but I guess Pence did it too, and all the appearances, you hear the same stuff about COVID. All the things Biden says he'd do, Trump's already done, other than, tell everyone to wear a mask. Well, friggin' wear a mask. All the other things about testing and getting rapid testing and this, Trump's already done. He's already done. I mean, I don't know what they're accusing Trump of doing. I know what he said. They accuse him of telling Bob Woodward that, he doesn't want people to panic, and he downplayed it and said it's going to go away. But in terms of what he did, they don't really have a good argument of things he did wrong.
That who did wrong?
Trump did wrong with the virus.
Kids and kids. Oh, with the virus. Oh no, all they do is just point out the number of people who died. That's the only thing they could do. His first words tonight were 220,000 people dead. And then I love the scientific with no, I mean, where's the fact check on this one? That 100,000 people would have lived if Donald Trump wore a mask like that. No. What the hell does that? Says who?
I mean, you ever see the numbers in Europe? Did he kill all those people too, and all the people in Asia? I mean,
you should have brought up Sweden. Be like, just like, how come in Sweden they don't have the virus anymore? Nobody dies from the virus ever because herd immunity works. So,
and I thought Trump won the COVID thing because I think people want to open up. They want kids in school. Yes. I mean, other than these, and he mentioned the Democrat governors and the Democrat mayors, the tyrants who are keeping kids out of school and keeping businesses closed. That's a winning issue. And Trump says we got to live. And what did Biden say? Something like we got to die. We don't want to die or something. We got to People got to live. And he says, people are going to die or something. It was like all
It's
about
like, yeah, there's
death.
people, you go home to your dinner table.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
nobody.
you know when to put your arm around anymore because they're dead. I'm like, I don't know a single person who's died or even been in a hospital. Like, what is this world they're living in where we all know people dying of COVID? I don't know. Do you know anybody?
I know people have had it and recovered. And
Everybody's had it.
I know like friends, parents or grandparents who said, they died in nursing, and then, and they all had other comorbidities. They all were in the last year or last 2 years of their life. That's the vulnerable people. Trump did a nice job for once of saying that we must protect the elderly, the people with underlying conditions, and let young people live. He won that, and that's an important issue. Obviously, I don't think most people are they want to stay locked down any longer. I mean, you have chronicled, the selfishness and the greed of the teachers union better than anyone. They're in the minority. Most people are sick of these control freaks and sick of these governors and mayors who are keeping everything shut down. Trump did a good job of saying, we got to open up. We got to get our country back.
And Biden did a good job of dodging that question when they specifically asked him, would you continue the lockdowns? And he's like, he wouldn't answer it. And he just said, well, we need to destroy the virus first. It's like, so that's not an answer. You're not going to destroy the virus. You don't destroy a virus. You work, you live through it. That's what you do. And yes, some people will get it and some people will die.
That's what he always says. Aiden. He always says, you can't control this until you can't control the economy until you control the virus. It's like,
we need
what?
PPE. Well, he kept saying we need PPE and we need gowns and we should have plexiglass dividers at restaurants and testing. It's like, I'm not going to freaking Friendlies and taking a test to eat a freaking super melt. It's not happening, Joe.
That was a great back and forth because he talked about plexiglass and Trump said, these are small businesses. They're struggling. They can't do that.
Yeah.
They're not going
to
build.
Pay more for the salary. Like the cost of living in Alabama, if you get paid $15 an hour, you're upper middle class. And he's like, and that's what you're going to do to a small business that's been struggling. You should shut them down. And now you're going to make them raise everyone's salary.
And Biden says, give more money for teachers. I'm going, what? More money? They just had a 6-month vacation. I don't need more money. They need to go to work. Kids need to go to school. Trump mentioned, Barron had the virus. He was through it before they knew it. It was over. That's how it works with children. Everyone knows it. The teachers just don't want to do their jobs.
Do you think Marty got a little Biden in his pants when he got the shout out there in the start of the?
Yeah, they said, Boston closed their schools again.
Yeah.
I wish she told the whole story. Boston closed their schools again because Mayor Marty Walsh said 6th graders, that would be 11-year-olds, shouldn't have to risk their lives going to school.
He actually said that?
He said that. And I mean, with him, it's always an open question. Is he dumb or dishonest? Because it's one or the other.
Oh, he's dumb. He's dumb.
Okay, then he thinks 6th graders are going to die, which they're not.
He might actually think that.
Yeah, that's true. In his defense, he's probably just dumb.
Yes, look at him. This is the same guy we caught 3 weeks ago without a mask on in Quincy at a freaking wedding. It's like how quickly we forget. Nobody covered that, of course. But I mean, that's embarrassing when your city is brought up at the debate as like the example of cowardice. Like we opened the schools and then we closed them. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Of course, the virus is going to spread. That's the whole point. And
Trump was smart, for a change, pointing out the death rate, which is down, 85% since the spring, down everywhere. He also pointed out the number of deaths in New York and, the Democrat-controlled states. All the top 5 or 6 states in deaths are all controlled by Democrats, including Massachusetts. That's a good point because those cases are up, but cases are up. It doesn't matter if they're kids. The college kids are getting tested constantly, and they're, some of them are positive, but none of them are even going to the hospital. It's not a problem for them. It's a problem for the elderly.
Stephen Gilmore said that he didn't even know he had COVID. He's got no symptoms, nothing. And it's like, and the Patriots are missing games because of this. This is insane. You just have to play through it and live through it and assume you're going to get it and you'll be good. If Trump can survive it, you can survive it too.
Aiden, the Corona bros in the media said the Patriots should not have played the Kansas City game. They had one player with the virus, one. And they said, shouldn't have taken any chances. With
he
what?
Didn't play. Yeah.
Right. So they missed one player. I know he's an important player, But I mean, at some point you have to say, if that player had the flu, you'd still play, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of athletes have played with the flu, right?
It's nuts. I want to go back to because I know, like again, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this night, but I know tomorrow, this weekend, I'm going to get really frustrated because I've never seen a cover up like this. This Biden story, this Bobulinski story, this Hunter Biden story, all crack pipes and doing lines of girls' asses. All that aside, I mean, I'm going to enjoy those photos and those stories,
yes,
but
that's going to be fun.
All that aside, we have proof that Joe Biden, former vice president, perhaps future president, took money from our adversary, the Chinese Communist Party. We have proof that he was getting his cut from the money. And by the way, the money in China was serious money. It was $10 million for introductions only by Hunter, who had to kick up a percentage to the big guy. By any standard, that is proof. That is not a Russian hoax. That is not a smear campaign by Rudy Giuliani.
You know what they're doing right now with Bobulinski? They are going through everything on his past because he said he was a Democrat tonight, that he's donated money to Democrats. Yeah. They're going to find some shit on this guy. Trust. Like they are working. They have no interest in the story. They are interested in discrediting this guy, and they are working overtime to do it.
But it is hard to do that without mentioning why he's a public figure at this point, isn't it? It's like doing the Borat story where Borat tried to set up Rudy Giuliani without mentioning why Rudy Giuliani's in the news right now. Rudy Giuliani, I can understand why Democrats hate him, but he is a vicious prosecutor. That's his thing. He knows how to prosecute, and right now he is prosecuting Joe Biden. And if I'm Trump, I wouldn't want anyone else. I mean, he's relentless and he's smart and he's ruthless. And I wouldn't want him, if I'm Joe Biden, I wouldn't want him nipping at my heels right now. But it's going to be interesting because there has to be somebody in the Washington press corps. There has to be somebody who says, guys, I know he's our guy, but this is a story. This is news. Did you see the press release or the tweet from
Russian
NPR?
Information
From NPR?
They just came out and want to read it to me. I know they said they weren't going to cover it because it's not news.
They said flat out, we are not going to cover this. They called it a distraction and not a real story. And their executive, I think it was an executive editor, flat out said, we're not doing it. I mean, even if you don't want to do it, do you actually come out and say, what if there's a big development tomorrow? Are you going to change your mind, or are you just never going to do it?
Your tax dollars go to this. I mean, we're paying for this.
It is remarkable.
I'm just on the Wall Street Journal right now, and there's an article. Former vice president says he had no involvement. Corporate records reviewed by the Wall Street Journal show no role for Joe Biden.
Corporate records?
What does that mean?
It's like Chris Wallace, that friggin' stooge, saying on his show on Sunday, he said it's obvious or whatever. In defense of Joe Biden, he's seen his tax returns and there's no big sums of money from foreign countries.
Here's what the Wall Street Journal says in the piece. The venture, set up in 2017 after Mr. Biden left the vice presidency and before his presidential campaign, never received proposed funds from the Chinese company or completed any deals, according to people familiar with the matter. Corporate records reviewed by the Wall Street Journal show no role for Joe Biden. That's what the Wall Street Journal has.
See, that's all you're going to get. If there's any coverage at all, it will be exculpatory. It'll be anything they can come up with that could qualify as an alibi that proves that it wasn't that he's not guilty. That's how it'll be, and it'll be maddening, and I'll lose my mind, and it'll be frustrating as hell. But they're not even hiding it. They're flat out saying we're not covering it, we're not doing it, and there are, what is it now, 10 to 11 days left till the election, and they just have to hold on. But think of that.
It's not going to work. If that's their strategy, they're going to lose. This is a tortoise in the hare situation. Taking 4 days off does not look good. The polls have kind of rebounded somewhat for Trump. And like I said, I don't even take that much into the polls. But, it matters somewhat. And like I'm looking at North Carolina, Florida, he's winning polls in there. There's a poll came out, he's tied in Wisconsin, he's tied in Arizona, which to me means he's plus 3 or 4 in these states.
Yeah, what's your theory? Because we were talking about it earlier. I don't know any serious Trump supporter who would A, even talk to a pollster, and B, if they did, they would lie and they would mess with them. I mean, what's your theory on the Trump dynamic as it applies to pollsters? Is every poll that involves Trump illegitimate because his
No, Rasmussen is legitimate and Trafalgar is legitimate. Those are the only 2 I look at, because those are the fakest one is Fox News and Quinnipiac. Those are the worst 2. They are the doom and gloom. The New York Times, Siena ones, they all give you the same shit. But like I said, as soon as I started seeing like Biden by 11 in Florida, I'm like, oh, these people aren't serious. Like they're you get a poll like that, you just throw it in the trash. Biden's not winning. Nobody's winning Florida by 11. It's the most evenly split state in the country every single time. Like, stop it. You should know better.
Is it folly for me or someone like me to fall for the enthusiasm factor, the enthusiasm issue? Because all night, every day, I'd see Trump do 3, 4, 5 rallies with 25, 30,000 people at them. I see the streets in Newport Beach, California, streets lined with Trump supporters. And then you see Biden, with 8 people. Barack Obama made an appearance and there were like 27 people there.
Nobody's voting for Joe Biden. They're voting against Donald Trump. That's all this is. And the enthusiasm on the other side all comes from hating Donald Trump, and they can give you 1,000,001 reasons why. But at the end of the day, you saw the guy. Like, that guy's not going to get people out. It's not happening. Like,
it's a good point. I was thinking that tonight. Like, I know, half the country hates him, but he wasn't that hateable tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
he was charming. He's quite charming.
I mean, I don't want to say you want to, hang out with him. I mean, I'm just saying he wasn't. Yeah, true. Would you rather hang out with Donald Trump or Hunter Biden?
Hunter Biden. I'd love to hang out with Hunter Biden. That looks like
What if in the next, I got the NPR guy here, but what if in the next 11 days, there's a child pornography charge against Hunter Biden? And I mean, I know everyone will say that's just his son. That's not the candidate. But if it's true, what Rudy said, that there's a 14-year-old girl on there, doesn't that change some minds? And
Joe's already got that stigma. Like, Joe, that's not his strength. 14-year-old girls.
But Joe just sniffs their hair. Hunter does lines off their ass, off their little 14-year-old rear ends. I mean, that has to leave a mark. I'm sorry. I know it's his kid, and I know some of the emails kind of reflect positively on him because he shows some sympathy for his son and tells him he loves him. But the next email is like, yeah, I'm going to kick, 5 million up to the big guy. That's
the big guy.
The big guy. That was good. He called him the big man. That was close enough. I was so happy that he used that term. I wanted him to use that term. I wrote that one down. Bobulinski and the big guy. Those are the 2 stars of tonight on cable news. Here's the NPR editor, Aiden.
Yeah.
NPR's managing editor, his name is Terrence Samuels. The question is asked, this is the public editor, they have a public editor, an ombudsman, asks the managing editor, why haven't we seen any stories from NPR about New York Post Hunter Biden story? The answer, we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions.
Yes, it is distracting. It is because from their perspective, the goal is to get Donald Trump out of the White House. So this is technically a distraction for them.
Good point, but not really stories. I don't care.
Of course,
who you
it's a
are.
story.
I don't care.
Isn't that Orwellian that they get to decide what is a story?
Yeah, and these are people, as I point out, I responded and called him a welfare leech and a parasite.
Accurate.
I said, Hunter Biden's, we have his emails and we've heard from his business partners. They have documents, they have emails, they have texts. We've seen Joe Biden on video say, fire the prosecutor looking into my son's company or you don't get the $1 billion. We've all seen that.
Yes.
That would qualify as a story.
It seems
by any
like
standard. This pompous piece of crap NPR managing editor, if that doesn't compel someone in Congress to say, let's defund NPR, what does? At what point? I want to live long enough. I
How
want to
come
live.
they never do that? Republicans never do that when they have
They never
power,
do it.
though. They never
never
do it because
do
you
it.
know why? Because we got a bunch of freaking cowards, a bunch of Mike Lees, a bunch of people who just like don't feel like pushing the boundaries and pushing. You know what I mean? Like,
What's
we're
that
not
guy?
fighters.
Mike Braun, the one that
Yeah.
said we need police reform. Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, here's my 3 things that I'm pissed that we didn't hear about tonight. 3 things. Here's why Kristen Welker gets a C from me. I'm going to give her a C. What do you give Kristen Welker, the moderator?
B.
You're a soft grader. I
Yeah.
heard that from your old students. But anyway, 3 things. I'm making the 3 with the, you noticed with the white supremacy
Yes.
thing, because, you know, just
Yes.
just to mess with Facebook. 3 things. Antifa, never heard a word. Didn't hear the word Antifa. They're burning down, police stations. They're bashing cops with baseball bats and trying to blind them with lasers, and we never heard that word mentioned. Afghanistan, we're on the brink of beating the hell out of that shithole country forever. Didn't hear about it. That should be a victory lap the president gets to take. And defund the police. Joe Biden mentioned police 3 times by my count. He kept mentioning first responders, firefighters, this guy, that, and police. It should have triggered something in Trump, and he should, police. You people want to defund the police. You people are the ones, throwing bricks at the police. Trump dropped the ball on that one. He should have jumped all over that mention of the cops.
And the one that I thought they should bring up is transgender 8-year-olds. Like, that is not a winning issue. And that's literally something he supported 4 days ago before he went to his bunker there. I did like how Trump brought up the basement thing. He's like, you're a basement guy. That's your thing. It's hiding. So most people don't want to be like that. But
no, he said most people don't have your kind of money, which was a
right.
good shot. It was out of the blue, but it was, he kept saying, you hide in the basement, and he does. It's a good point. And there's no question that Joe Biden is safe from the coronavirus. The only one safer than him is me. I don't have any friends. I don't talk to anybody except for you, and it's on Zoom. It's on whatever this is. On video. We're safe. I'm safe. But he's hiding in his basement. He always has a mask on, and he doesn't go near anybody. I think Joe Biden will not get infected. But that was a good shot by Trump, saying, you hide in your basement. I got to be out there. I got to meet with Gold Star families. That was a good move. I can't believe we're done, though. Joe Biden never has to answer a question about Antifa. Never. Doesn't have to answer a question about.
Just an idea.
Just an idea. Exactly. But I don't know. I thought about this too, because it's such a good issue and it hits close to home with me. 8-year-old transgenders, it's too complicated for Trump in a debate. He would stumble all over it, don't you think?
How about just transgender kids in sports? I feel like that's a really winning issue, because that is an actual issue. It's like transgender athletes dominating girls' athletics. That is an issue that 95% of the electorate will agree with, and Joe Biden will have to support it. He has to. He has no choice.
It is. That's a good point. Like every one of those radical nutty issues. And he brought up AOC and
Plus
AOC +3. He doesn't know the other names. He just knows her. But Bernie, AOC, Liz Warren, everyone knows they're completely nuts, radical left-wing socialists. They all, you're right, they support, transgender kids in the womb. If you're not going to kill the kid in the womb, you might as well, snip off.
Let him know his pronouns before you kill you.
It's a 100% winning issue. I'm just not sure Trump could handle it. It sounds a little too, complicated. Mike Pence could do it.
Mike Pence could do it. Don Jr. could. Pretty much anybody but Trump could do it.
Kayleigh McEnany, Laura Trump, Eric Trump, Barron Trump, anybody. But
it is kind of funny how Trump is like a liability, but he's still heading the party.
It's like he's the ultimate alpha dog and the leader, but he's never really the smartest guy in the room.
No. Like you could pick you don't want him to be your spokesperson, but you do want him to rally morale. Like the rallies are great. Nobody does rallies better than him, but that's when you're speaking your base.
When we were in the middle of the beginning of COVID, and he had like 20 CEOs that all stood there at his beck and call, and they all did what he wanted, and they're all like these brilliant guys with MBAs from Harvard and Oxford, and they're deferring to Donald Trump. It must be odd for them to sit there and go, this guy's the leader of the free world, but it's working, and hopefully tonight made a difference. I give him a. I don't want to be Shattuck and go overboard. I'll say A- for Donald Trump. What do you think?
I give him. I give him a B- just because I think he got brought in. He got distracted by too much stupid shit. Like so when they asked Biden a question about the computers or whatever, like, and then he immediately just deflects and talks about Trump's taxes. And then what does Trump do? He's like defends himself about like nobody. You don't want to be on the defensive about the taxes. Just don't be like, don't change the subject, Joe. We're talking about something else, you know?
No, it was simple. You're absolutely right. It was simple. You say, I paid what I owed. That's what you're supposed to do. I paid what I owed. Some years I owe 50 million. Some years I don't. I pay what I owe, Joe. Did you pay taxes on the 3.5 million you got from Russia? He could have got through this. He tries to explain like tax law, and it's just dumb. You should just say, because everyone hates taxes. Everyone hates the IRS. Just say, I pay what I owe. You know, some years I pay more than others. Simple as that.
Like
Move
Joe,
on.
if you're willing to pay more taxes than you should, then you're a freaking moron. But you don't. I'm sure. You know.
I do that. I say that to people when they start bitching about it. I go, do you pay more than you owe? Because I mean, obviously he doesn't. I don't. If somebody does, they're stupid.
Yeah, and for the record, I give Biden like a D-. So I'm not like downgrading Trump. I thought he could have been better, but Trump looked significantly better than Biden. There's a huge contrast tonight, and I hope
I will agree with that. I'll say Trump B+ because you talked me into that tax thing didn't go well, but he did bring up Bobulinski, and he did bring up Hunter, and he did bring up Russia, and he did bring up Ukraine, he did bring up China. Those were very, very important.
Yes,
he didn't bring up Antifa or defund the cops, but B+, how's that? B+ for Trump, we both agree D- for Joe Biden and the poor boys.
I got a clip for you. We can go out with the biggest loser of the evening, I'd say. Here's a clip for you.
Chris Wallace, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm jealous. I would have liked to have been able to moderate that debate and to get a real exchange of views instead of hundreds of interruptions. I thought it was.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you. You know what? I judge all moderators based on him, and she was 100 times better than him. Even Steve Scully, that fool, would have been better.
I'm seeing that she interrupted Trump 24 times. She interrupted Biden twice.
You're kidding.
That's what I'm
twice?
Thinking. Yeah.
She clearly is a liberal. She clearly hates Trump. She clearly likes Biden, but I thought she would be much, much worse.
She always gave him 15 seconds, though, to just let it out.
He did jump in, and she let him go with those little,
he got to say his piece without seeming like overbearing, without mansplaining to her. Like he was very respectful, and I was honestly surprised by that.
Yeah, I was too. I thought she'd be as bad as Chris Wallace. He's the biggest loser of the night. Not just him, but I would say everyone on CNN, MSNBC, Joe Scarborough. Someone was just texting saying Joe Scarborough was almost in tears. That's how you know it was a good night for Donald Trump.
What do you mean? Like he was upset?
Yeah, he was upset that Trump was gotten away with whatever. I mean, I'm sure they say they didn't spend enough time on race. By the way, what the hell was that question about minorities living near power lines or some shit at the end?
Yeah. So, he saved the best for last. He wants to get rid of oil. They literally said that we need to get rid.
That was so good.
Too many black people are living near oil fields and climate change areas, so they just can't pick the right place.
Someday I want to live long enough that as a candidate, when they start asking about climate change, just say, I don't give a shit about climate change. Someday, I don't care if it's local level or governor or mayor or dog catcher. Somebody say, can we move the hell on? I don't care.
Yeah, please. Nobody cares. You bring it up every debate. Nobody cares. Nobody's here to hear thoughts on climate change.
I mean, we're doing a debate for Greta Thunberg or something. Why? I mean, most people are going, I just want to go to work. I just want my kids to go back to school. I don't care about your friggin' emissions. And by the way, Joe Biden said, we want to have zero emissions by 2025. The dumbest thing he's ever said. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if, again, the media were really covering this, they'd be all over that. 2025 is 4 years away, and he wants no more emissions. That means no more cars, no more planes, no more buses in 4 years.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Think we can do it?
Maybe.
All right. Hayden, that is Turtle Boy. Thanks, man. I will let you get back. Any good blogs? Any good blogs?
No, we'll have some good blogs, I'm sure, coming soon. Here and there.
We'll have some good blogs. You can read all of Turtle Boy's wonderful blogs. He's the one that keeps all these friggin' teachers unions, keep their feet to the fire. He's the only one. At tbdailynews.com or follow him on Twitter. I don't know what
At
it is.
Aiden_TB.
At Aiden_TB.
There it is.
He's back there for the moment.
For
And
now,
it's
for now.
nice to be, to live like you, at least for temporarily, temporarily live like
Welcome
you
to
and
the
be
big
on
time.
and be on the hit list, be on
Yeah.
Facebook's danger list.
Yes.
By the way, can you explain to me what it means? How long do I stay on there? I mean, how long do I have to
That's
deal
for
with?
life. You don't come off of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're always gonna get that. Well, until the election. Then once the
What if-
election's over, I think a lot of this will go away.
Yeah, if Biden wins, you and I will be eliminated. They'll never see us again. We'll be gone. We'll be like purged.
Yeah, problem solved. If Biden wins, we can do whatever we want. Problem solved. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you next week. That is
All right.
Turtle Boy. That is Uncle Turtle Boy. This is the Callahan. This is a special edition, debate edition. The only friggin' debate, the last debate, one and only chance that we got to hear from Sleepy Joe, and it's over. Now it's just campaigning and voting, and we may get a new president. Boy, that'll be a sad day. But all right. Anything else, Cullinan? You still with me?
I'm still here. Nothing else. Nothing crazy. Rate, review, subscribe.
Rate, review.
I mean, I know we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, so you people get it, which is great.
Yes.
But to the podcast listeners, this is a Friday extra, which means it's a gift, which means then you should repay us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts.
And by the way, I've been looking out at the traffic in the morning. It is almost back to pre-COVID levels. That's the bad news. The good news is tomorrow morning, if you sit in traffic, you'll have a podcast to listen to. We recapped. If you're just tuning in, you can go to bed now and you can wake up tomorrow, and on your ride in, you can find us and give us a listen. It is the Callahan Podcast, and you can give us a rating and you can give us a review and you can tell your friends. And we will be back Monday morning. This is a commercial free. I don't have to thank anybody, do I, Cullinan? I guess I have to thank you. You usually go to bed at 8:00. You live like a 90-year-old man. You go to bed at 8:00.
Hero level shit out of me tonight. Let's put it that. This is hero level shit.
How late are you going to sleep tomorrow? I mean, I know you usually get up at like 3. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Usually 3 a.m. So I'll go to 3:30, 3:45 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you'll wake up like on your own, no alarm,
no alarm, just go for it.
It's dark out and it's 3 a.m. and you get up.
I think it's from back in like the hockey days. You know what I mean? Like early practices, stuff like that. I mean, now kids, you can't even play hockey now. Literally.
Did you see that? All our hockey friends are all upset. The governor announced they're closing all the hockey rinks in Massachusetts for the next 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, no hockey.
You can ride a school bus and do all these other things, but you can't put all your equipment on at home and then drive to the rink and just step on the ice and then just take your skates off.
Why? Did some coach get it or something?
I guess, what did they say in the release? There was like 30 outbreaks tied directly to the hockey community, which, I don't know.
And they think those will end if they take 2 weeks off?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to just go back to it. It's just going to, a virus is just going to virus. Okay. It's going to happen. It's going to spread and people are going to get it. They're going to be immune. And then it's going to happen until there's a vaccine. But no hockey for 2 weeks. Everyone feels better. The governor feels better. No hockey.
Governor feels everyone. I mean, he feels better. Marty feels better for the call out today. So listen, we all win apparently. So
all right, that's it for the special edition, Friday edition, debate edition of the Callahan Podcast. I'm Jerry Callahan, and we will talk to you again Monday morning.